And now I'll talk about my work. So, I already mentioned about how my feelings towards immigration. This is how I arrived in Canada. I arrived aboard this ship, and see, in fact, I was thinking I was going to New York, and this picture is actually in New York Harbor, but we ended up in Halifax, and this is the picture we have on our wall in the kitchen back in Italy. Everybody thought of America, the promised land, and Canada was sort of part of the American dream, in a sense. People didn't really specify America or the United States. Passport pictures, again, the use of photography. The little village that I left in the south of Italy, so I was 8 years old when I came to Canada. And I started photographing in the early 1970s. I have to say that for me, photography provided a sense of identity. As a young immigrant, you always question, who am I, what is my real name, and where did I come from, and how come my name sounds funny in English, and how come I don't speak the language, etc. All these things. And I think photography, for me, was a way of exploring my own identity, my own neighborhood. So I went around the neighborhood, I went around schools and pool halls in those days, bars and construction sites and factories, churches, of course, and just kept photographing. In this case here, this is the airport. And Toronto Airport is very important to me because my father, as an immigrant, worked at the airport when they were building the first terminal. And this particular photograph, it turns out, is a picture of my mother and her sister, who were reunited after 25 years of separation through immigration. One sister went to Argentina, one came to Canada. And then they met at the airport. And actually, the word Toronto, some people claim means a place of meeting. And it's actually a little controversial now. It used to be that everybody accepted that meaning, but that's the new meaning apparently. But certainly, Toronto Airport was a place of meeting. I went around. This is the Chin Radio was a major radio station in those days. It was a rallying point of the community, and they used to have a picnic every year at Central Island. And what I love about photography is the relationship that you can. The photographer was to see certain things in the people who are in front of him or her, and I see the relationship between this couple. She's holding on to him for dear life, it seems. She's like very protective of him. It's a very tender moment. He is wearing a little black lapel, which just means that he's in mourning. She's wearing black also, and they're unrelated to that person. But the photographer makes them related in a sense. Photography, you choose which moment you photograph. Photography immigration is also a series that provides comings and goings. And I have to say that before I show you this picture, I have to say that I had taken all these pictures in the 1970s, and I didn't really know how to deal with them. I didn't know how to find perspective to actually make them into a book. That was always my dream. And so eventually I came across this wonderful book called Blood of My Blood. And I want to read a quotation, which I think gave me a perspective on how I looked at my photographs. And the quotation is this, that it was an old superstition, sometimes half believed by the simplest immigrants, that the streets in, quote, America were paved with gold. When they got here, they learned three things. First, that the streets were not paved with gold. Second, that the streets were not paved at all, sometimes. And third, that now that they had arrived, they were expected to pave it. So in a way, immigration was a bit of a kind of an illusionism, like an illusion. But that gave me a kind of a perspective that my pictures were about the working class community, and most of the community at that time was very much working class. And I would like to echo the words of Thomas King, who has a book out actually just now called The Inconvenient Indian. And in an essay he wrote a few years ago, he said, he titled the essay, "These are not the Indians that I was looking for." And I remember showing my pictures to publishers and to art galleries in those days, and they were saying, well, these are not the Italians.